Hello my friends, I have to start this video from the very terrible event that happened this morning in Brovary. The Brovary is very close to the Kyiv city, which is the capital of Ukraine. So on this picture you can see the destroyed helicopter. This is the Super Puma. It looked like this before, and it's mainly used for the search and rescue operations. And those helicopters are in the branch of Ukrainian rescue. So you can see Служба порятунку means rescue service of Ukraine. From the information that media published, some of the helicopters were flying in Canada before, but delivered to France, and it was the deal between France and Ukraine to get those helicopters. Those are not the new helicopters, and before there was a problem with the main rotor and propeller once it was just separated and the helicopter crashed, not in Ukraine, but I don't think it was the case. Because if you look at the picture again, you can see that the propeller is okay. It's assembled with the body of the helicopter or with the remains, as we see. And this is the crash site. So helicopter hit this building. Unfortunately, it's the kindergarten, and part of the helicopter stayed there where it hit the upper floor, and remains went into the entrance of the residential building. The fuel spilled, causing the fire, and unfortunately many people lost their lives in that building. For now we know about 15 casualties. Before it was reported 18, now 15, and many kids also are in a hospital. For now we know that one child, she was the girl, she lost her life in that fire together with her mom. So her mom took her to the kindergarten, and then helicopter just crashed into the building. All of the passengers and crew members on board of that helicopter unfortunately also lost their lives. On board there was the Minister of the Internal Affairs, basically the police chief of Ukraine, and not just police but other services, and he also lost his life with his deputies. As for me, my friends, I still don't understand how the helicopter that was built for the search and rescue purposes was used for the minister to fly somewhere. I think those helicopters would be great machines to rescue our guys from the front lines, our soldiers who got wounded, but for the minister, I think he should have used the other variant of the helicopter. The problem is that we don't have the charter companies any longer in Ukraine, so the airspace basically closed for commercial aviation, and most of the helicopters left Ukraine. But still there are some alternatives as the ground transport, especially when you fly in the bad weather conditions, and let's see the weather conditions at that particular time. So this is the other video showing that there's the fog, you know. Yes, there's also the fire, but the thick fog was reported today, and the cloud base was really low, like around 100 feet or something. Because of that low cloud base, the helicopter simply cannot visually navigate, so it was flying according to instrument flight rules, using instruments in a cockpit. And speaking about the particular place of the crash, so here's the Kyiv, and Brovary is a little bit northbound, northeastbound, I would say, and there is the huge residential area with very high buildings, and this is the kindergarten, at least it used to be, and here you can see lots of the buildings around. So for me it's the mystery why they've flown into such a populated area in very poor weather conditions. So here's the industrial area very close. Here is the forest, and this is quite populated place, Brovary, and I've been there many times in that city. The deviation from the flight route also might be caused by the fake or unreliable GPS signal. Sometimes it might happen, especially during this war situation, and then Russian drones also use GPS. I really don't want to speculate, however, that is how I see it for now, my friends. They try to descend, reaching some sort of the orientation, and hit the building. And Ukrainian officials say that it was the flight from Kyiv to Kharkiv. Well, I wouldn't fly through Brovary residential area. In that case, I would try to fly through the Dnieper River, and then from this place south from Borispol, and then to Kharkiv. So even if you look at the roads, this road leads to Sumy actually, and the proper way is flying through Borispol. So this is the highway, it's the short connection to reach Kharkiv. Kharkiv is over here. So as for me, Brovary is not really the proper point to start the flight towards Kharkiv. You burn more fuel and really it's not very efficient. Probably they wanted to get someone on board somewhere here and try to land in that place because there are many private buildings, but the official version that they were flying to Kharkiv. And actually they got lots of the fuel because it spilled around the building, causing severe fire. So President Zelensky already said that it was some sort of the accident and Russian Federation was not involved in that case. However, he said that it happened because of the war in Ukraine. I wonder why. Well, still we cannot exclude the technical factor, the helicopter itself, whether it was the proper maintenance done on that one. And actually it was a big scandal story before with this particular helicopter and President Zelensky. Let me tell you more about it. So in 2001, Zelensky took this helicopter to fly on the birthday of his friend, who is also the manager of his office, Andriy Yermak. And this helicopter is maintained with the help of the taxpayers, so we pay for the rescue, not for Zelensky to travel on this one on the private birthdays. Firstly, Zelensky said that he didn't use the helicopter, but after a while some of the journalists published their proofs and videos that he was flying on that one. Plus, there were two of the military helicopters accompanied him, and it's good if you have some sort of the official visit, but for the birthdays, well, my friends, it was the big scandal that costed Zelensky some percentage of his rating. Quite a lot of percent of his rating, actually. And this happened before the war. Now, mainly people forgot about it. And this situation with the same particular helicopter remind me that case. And I think that we should find out whether Minister Monastersky had the right to fly on that helicopter and what was the purpose of that flight. If they had crashed themselves, I wouldn't care, but unfortunately they crashed into the kindergarten and there are some casualties and heavy injuries from the kids, and that is the most important, I think, in that case. And I cannot imagine the state of desperate of the parents who got their kids wounded or who lost their kids. Was it really necessary to fly this big helicopter over the residential area in the poor weather conditions with officials on board? Some interesting news about the Leopard 2 tanks. Chancellor Scholz said that Germany is ready to supply tanks to Ukraine, but United States should also join the supplement with their Abrams tanks. I think it's good and bad. The good thing that Germany is ready to supply those tanks. The bad thing that probably United States will not supply their Abrams and will not see Leopards and Abrams tanks in Ukraine, unfortunately. Well, everything may change very quickly, but for now there are no any preparation signs from United States to supply us with Abrams tanks because they require lots of the infrastructure and supplies. But there are many of the Abrams tanks that were written off from the United States Army, and I think that they may be supplied to Ukraine just to show to Germany the collaboration, and they will supply Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. So it's hard to predict what will happen, but for sure we'll have those tanks in Ukraine. I mean Leopard 2 for sure. But United States finally will supply Ukraine with the long-range missiles. Those are GLSDB rockets with a range up to 150 kilometers. Well, actually, those are not rockets rather than bombs. The abbreviation means a ground-launched small diameter bomb and can be launched from HIMARS as well as from M270 rocket artillery systems. And this is the scheme of the bomb. So basically you have the booster M260 rocket motor that initially accelerates the bomb, and then it disassembles and unfolds the small wings and flies directly to hit the target. I know about the warhead, how many kilograms of explosives is there, not sure, but it can target very precisely ammunition depots, command centers. Yes, it's not the ATACMS, but it's the huge step to get ATACMS rockets. 150 kilometers is the great range for us, but in future obviously we'll obtain ATACMS rockets, just need to wait for it. And here you can see the range of the bomb if you just put it on the front line. so you can cover everything that Russia took during this war, excluding the part of Crimea. And the Striker armored vehicles are coming for Ukrainian army. Thank you, United States, for your kind support. Tomorrow, Sweden will finally announce the Archer delivery to Ukraine. Those are the self-propelled artillery systems, probably the best in the world. The article of New York Times: United States warms to help Ukraine target Crimea, not the residential buildings obviously, but the military targets using new long-range missiles probably. So Kiev needs the power to strike Ukrainian peninsula annexed by Russia, and Biden administration is considering the argument. So we're gonna get many more help, long-range missiles, and finally I expect fighter jets, maybe not this year but the next year. And if you ask me whether I see the end of this war in 2023, unfortunately, my friends, I don't see it in a close perspective. My opinion that it may continue many years until the Putin's regime will be dismissed. It may happen any day, obviously, but until it's dismissed, the war continues. And Canada will hand over 200 of those armored Senator vehicles to Ukrainian army, and Latvia will send Stinger defense systems to Ukraine, as well as helicopters, they say, and guns. I think Soviet-made helicopters like Mi-8. And just a quick update about the military map, my friends. Unfortunately, Russia is pushing kind of hard on the south from Bakhmut. Here you can see Klishivka, and they've almost took that village, so it was before yesterday, and today I may say that they've took it. They still need to cross this river, but I think they're not far away from crossing this very important road that is used to supply the Bakhmut group, and if they cross it, it would be very hard for Bakhmut to withstand the Russian attacks from the eastern side. Also, somehow they're moving northbound over here. I wonder why. I thought they will move south to Krasnohora, concentrate in Bakhmut, but no, today they moved towards Rozdolivka over here. The fighting is continuing near Soledar, and we continue to use artillery systems to destroy Russian groups in the city. There were many of the videos published on Telegram, but on YouTube I cannot publish them. My friends, now press the like to this video, and also if you want to support the channel, there are some of the links in the video description below. You may support me on Patreon, PayPal, or Donatella, whichever is more convenient for you. Thank you so much for your support, and I wish you a peaceful sky wherever you are. Have a great time.